Welcome to my channel, HFY Story Hub. The little alien girl screamed in terror, then ran past armed soldiers, ignored her own mother's warning, and threw herself into the human's arms like he was the only safe thing left in the universe. Every weapon in the hall activated at once. Commander Ryan Hale froze. The child clung to him so tightly her small hands trembled against his jacket. Around them, silver-armored guards raised glowing rifles with sudden panic in their eyes. And the girl's mother. She looked horrified. "Get away from him!" one of the guards shouted. But the child only buried her face deeper against Ryan's chest. The room shook. Not from an explosion. From the station itself reacting. Red warning lights burst across the ceiling. A mechanical voice echoed through the chamber. Ancient system awakened. Silence followed. Then every alien in the room slowly stepped backward from the human. Ryan blinked once. "Okay," he whispered. "That feels bad." 3 hours earlier, the transport shuttle drifted through the endless dark toward the largest station Ryan had ever seen. The Citadel of Valor. A city floating between stars. Its towers curved like silver waves. Rivers of blue light moved across its surface like living veins. Thousands of ships surrounded it in perfect silence. Ryan stared through the cockpit window. "Well," he muttered, "that's mildly terrifying." The pilot beside him didn't laugh. None of the Valorians ever laughed much around humans. Not since the war. Humanity had only joined the Galactic Union 11 years ago. Most species still viewed Earth as primitive, dangerous, emotional, unstable. Ryan had heard every insult possible. Too aggressive, too reckless, too attached. Humans survive through violence, not intelligence. He smiled faintly to himself. Funny thing was, most aliens still didn't understand how terrifying human persistence could become. The shuttle docked with a soft metallic hiss. Ryan stood, adjusting the worn jacket over his broad shoulders. Unlike the polished uniforms around him, his looked old. Used. Because it was. He preferred it that way. Scars mattered to humans. The docking doors opened slowly. Cold silver light spilled inside. And waiting beyond it stood 12 Valorian guards. Armed. Ryan raised an eyebrow. "Wow," he said softly. "You guys really know how to welcome guests." The lead guard stepped forward. Tall, pale skin, sharp features, eyes glowing faint blue. Captain Cyril. Ryan recognized him immediately from the briefing files. A war hero. And someone who absolutely hated humans. "You are late," Cyril said coldly. Ryan glanced at the clock on the wall. "I'm exactly on time. You are 3 minutes behind Valorian standard." Ryan sighed. "Right. Alien time." Cyril's expression somehow became even less friendly. "You will follow orders while aboard this station." "Usually helps, yeah." No reaction. Ryan smiled awkwardly. Tough crowd. The guards escorted him through the station in complete silence. The halls looked alive. Walls shifted subtly as people passed. Lights dimmed and brightened like breathing. Floors adjusted beneath footsteps. Ryan noticed everything. Years in military reconnaissance had trained him to. Nothing here was truly mechanical. The station responded to its inhabitants. Which meant one thing. It was ancient. Dangerously ancient. Cyril finally spoke as they entered a massive corridor lined with glowing symbols. "You understand why you were summoned?" "Officially," Ryan replied. "Joint diplomatic cooperation." "And unofficially?" Ryan looked at him carefully. "You think something on this station is about to kill everyone." That made 2 guards glance at him sharply. Cyril stopped walking. For a moment, silence stretched between them. Then the captain spoke quietly. "You humans notice too much." Ryan shrugged. "Occupational hazard." They continued deeper into the station. The temperature dropped. The lights dimmed. And Ryan began hearing it. A sound beneath the walls. A pulse. Slow. Heavy. Like a heartbeat. He frowned. "You hear that?" The guard said nothing. That was answer enough. At the end of the corridor stood enormous black doors covered in glowing circular patterns. Ryan stopped cold. His stomach tightened instantly. Something about those doors felt wrong. Not dangerous. Older than danger. Cyril turned toward him. The station core awakened 6 days ago. Ryan looked at him carefully. And it has not awakened in 12,000 years. That got his attention. What changed? Cyril hesitated. Then quietly said, "It spoke." Ryan's expression hardened. What did it say? The captain's glowing eyes locked onto him. One word. The doors behind them slowly began opening. A wave of freezing air rolled out. And from somewhere deep inside the darkness, Ryan heard a child crying. Human. The room beyond was enormous. A circular chamber stretching farther than Ryan could fully see. Ancient machines towered overhead like sleeping giants. Blue energy flowed beneath transparent floors. Symbols moved across the walls in patterns that hurt his eyes if he stared too long. And in the center of it all, a little girl sat alone beside a pillar of light. Small, fragile, crying silently. Ryan immediately stepped forward. One of the guards grabbed his arm. "Do not approach her." Ryan looked down at the trembling child. "Why?" No one answered. That was enough. He pulled free and walked toward her anyway. "Kid," he said gently, kneeling a few feet away. "Hey, you okay?" The child looked up slowly. Large silver eyes met his. And everything changed. The entire chamber lit up at once. Blue fire exploded across the walls. The ancient machines roared awake. Guards shouted in panic. Cyril drew his weapon instantly. But the girl suddenly ran straight toward Ryan and hugged him like her life depended on it. The station trembled violently. Above them, ancient symbols ignited across the ceiling. Then the mechanical voice returned. Louder this time. Colder. Genetic match confirmed. Every guard froze. Ryan blinked. "I'm sorry," he said carefully. "What?" The little girl refused to let go. Her tiny fingers dug into Ryan's jacket while the entire chamber screamed with warning alarms. Above them, ancient symbols burned across the ceiling like living fire. Genetic match confirmed. The words echoed again, and every Valorian in the room looked at the human with fear. Not suspicion. Fear. Captain Cyril slowly lowered his weapon, but his expression had turned pale. "That is impossible," he whispered. Ryan looked around nervously. "Great," he muttered. "Everyone keeps saying that." The chamber suddenly shook harder. A deep metallic groan echoed beneath their feet. The pillar behind the girl exploded with light. Then the station spoke again. "Primary protector located." Ryan blinked twice. "Absolutely not." The little girl looked up at him for the first time. Silver tears ran down her face. But her voice came out calm. "Please don't leave." Something inside Ryan's chest tightened painfully. Because she sounded terrified. Not of him. For him. Cyril stepped forward carefully. "Child, move away from the human." She instantly clung tighter. "No." The reaction shocked everyone. Valorian children were known for emotional restraint. Calmness was taught from birth. But this girl trembled like she'd seen death itself. Ryan slowly stood while keeping one protective arm around her shoulders. "Okay," he said quietly. "Someone needs to explain what's happening before the creepy ancient station decides to vaporize me." Nobody answered immediately. Then a new voice echoed through the chamber. Cold. Mechanical. Ancient. Threat approaches. Every light in the room turned red. Ryan's military instincts fired instantly. Threat from where? The answer came 1 second later. The station wall exploded inward. Guards were thrown across the chamber as black armored figures stormed through the smoke. Tall. Massive. Covered in dark biomechanical armor that moved like liquid metal. The Dravok. Ryan recognized them from war footage immediately. The species that erased entire colonies without mercy. One of the creatures pointed directly at the little girl. "Retrieve the seer." The child beside Ryan went completely still. Cyril shouted orders instantly. "Defend the core!" Blue energy weapons erupted across the chamber. The battle started in pure chaos. Valorian guards fired from defensive lines while the Dravik advanced without fear. Plasma rounds slammed into black armor, but the invaders barely slowed down. Ryan grabbed the child and ducked behind a shattered pillar. Explosions rocked the chamber. The girl buried her face against him, shaking violently. Ryan's jaw tightened. "It's okay," he said softly. "I got you." A Dravik suddenly landed directly in front of them. Huge. At least 8 feet tall. Its helmet split open into glowing red optics. Target locked. Ryan moved before thinking. Pure instinct. He shoved the girl behind him and grabbed a fallen Valorian rifle from the floor. The Dravik lunged. Too fast. Ryan fired point blank. The energy blast struck its chest but barely staggered it. "Oh, come on!" The creature swung a massive armored arm toward his head. Ryan ducked at the last second. The strike shattered solid stone behind him. Human reflexes took over. Fast. Violent. Precise. Ryan drove the rifle upward like a spear directly beneath the creature's jawline and pulled the trigger. Blue plasma erupted through its skull. The Dravik collapsed instantly. Silence hit the nearby guards. One Valorian stared at Ryan in disbelief. The human had killed a Dravik in hand-to-hand combat. Something most trained soldiers failed to survive. Ryan looked down at the smoking rifle. "Okay," he breathed. "That usually does not work." Another explosion shook the chamber. More Dravik poured inside. "Too many!" Cyril shouted from across the battlefield. "They are heading for the child." Ryan looked at the terrified girl. "Why do they want you?" Her silver eyes met his. And for the first time, he saw something impossible inside them. Not fear. Visions. Entire stars burning. Worlds collapsing. Dead fleets drifting through endless darkness. Then one final image. Earth. Destroyed. Ryan staggered backward slightly. "What the hell?" The girl grabbed his hand desperately. "They come when they see the future." The station lights flickered violently again. Ancient symbols moved across the walls faster now. The machine voice returned. Probability collapse imminent. Cyril reached Ryan through heavy fire. His expression looked shaken for the first time. "You must take her and leave the station." Ryan stared at him. "You're kidding. If they capture her, billions die." "That's not enough information. There is no time." Another deafening impact rocked the chamber. The far wall collapsed completely. A massive Dravik war machine forced its way inside. 20 feet tall. Covered in rotating weapons. The guards opened fire desperately, but nothing slowed it. The child beside Ryan whispered one terrified word. "Hunter." Even Cyril looked afraid now. The machine locked onto Ryan instantly. Warning target identified. Human. Ryan pointed at himself. "Why does the giant murder robot know what I am?" Then the war machine fired. Cyril tackled Ryan and the girl sideways 1 second before the blast erased half the chamber. Heat exploded across Ryan's skin. Dust filled the air. Screams echoed everywhere. When Ryan looked up again, half the guards were dead. The hunter advanced slowly through flames. Unstoppable. The little girl suddenly grabbed Ryan's face with both hands. Her voice trembled. "You cannot let it touch you." Ryan frowned. "That sounds extremely specific." Her next words made his blood run cold. "Because you are the last one." Everything stopped in Ryan's mind. Last what? Before she could answer, the station core erupted with blinding light. Every machine inside the chamber activated simultaneously. And the ancient voice thundered through the station with enough force to shake the entire city. Human Guardian Protocol, online. Then all the lights went dark. Darkness swallowed the chamber. No alarms. No weapons. No sound except burning metal and distant screams. Ryan couldn't see his own hands. Then, a single blue light ignited beneath his feet. The station was watching him. The little girl held onto his arm so tightly he could feel her shaking. Around them, surviving Valorian guards struggled to regroup in the dark. Smoke drifted through shattered walls while the massive hunter machine stood motionless across the chamber like a waiting executioner. Then the ancient voice spoke again. Guardian candidate confirmed. Ryan stared upward. Listen, he said carefully. I feel like everyone here is making huge decisions about me without permission. No response. Instead, glowing lines spread across the floor beneath him. Symbols. Ancient. Alive. The hunter suddenly moved. Its red optics blazed through the darkness. Target priority absolute. Every weapon on its body rotated toward Ryan. Cyril reacted instantly. Move. The chamber exploded into chaos again. Ryan grabbed the little girl and sprinted as plasma fire tore through the floor behind them. Entire sections of the chamber collapsed into glowing depths below. The hunter kept coming. Relentless. Heavy footsteps shook the station itself. Ryan ducked behind fallen debris while explosions hammered the air around him. Kid, he breathed, I'm officially running out of good ideas. The girl looked at him with terrifying certainty. You must reach the core. Ryan laughed once. Great. Because giant death machines usually improve near mysterious ancient cores. Another blast slammed nearby. Heat washed over them. Cyril and the remaining guards fired desperately at the hunter, but their weapons barely slowed it. One guard screamed as the machine grabbed him midair and crushed him instantly. Ryan's expression hardened. Something changed inside him then. Not fear. Focus. Pure human survival instinct. He looked around rapidly. Broken conduits. Energy lines. Structural supports. A plan formed instantly. Dangerous. Probably stupid. Very human. He turned toward Cyril. Can your people overload energy channels? The captain blinked. Yes, but the blast radius will be huge. Perfect. Cyril stared at him like he'd lost his mind. Ryan pointed toward the ceiling supports above the hunter. Can you hit those? Realization hit the Valorian instantly. You intend to collapse the chamber. Ryan grabbed a fallen plasma charge from a dead guard. I intend to survive. The hunter charged forward again. Ryan moved first. He sprinted directly toward the machine. Every Valorian froze in disbelief. Even Cyril shouted, "What are you doing?" Ryan didn't answer. Humans had a reputation across the galaxy. Reckless. Unpredictable. Insane under pressure. Most species thought those traits were weaknesses. They were wrong. The hunter fired. Ryan slid beneath the blast so close he felt his skin burn. He rolled across shattered metal and slammed the plasma charge directly into the machine's damaged leg joint. Warning. Structural. Ryan fired the rifle point blank into the explosive. The chamber erupted. Blue fire consumed the hunter's lower half. The machine staggered for the first time. Now! Ryan roared. Cyril fired instantly. The Valorian guards followed. Energy blasts hammered the ceiling supports above the hunter. Cracks exploded across the chamber roof. Then the entire structure collapsed. Thousands of tons of metal and crystal crashed downward onto the machine. The impact shook the station violently. Dust swallowed everything. Silence followed. Ryan coughed hard, pulling the little girl against him protectively as debris rained around them. Then slowly, the dust cleared. The hunter was buried. Not destroyed, but trapped. Its glowing red eye still burned beneath the wreckage. Ryan exhaled shakily. Okay, he muttered. That thing is officially upsetting. The little girl stared at him with wide silver eyes. Not fear. Oh. Around the chamber, surviving guards looked at Ryan differently now too. Humans were physically weaker than most warrior species. Less armored. Less advanced. Yet the human had charged a Dravik war machine alone. And survived. Cyril approached slowly. You fought without calculation. Ryan wiped blood from his mouth. Yeah, we do that. That was irrational. Ryan gave a tired smile. Also yes. The station suddenly trembled again. But this time, Not from damage. The floor beneath the center chamber began opening slowly. A massive circular platform rose upward from the depths below, covered in ancient symbols. At its center stood a black throne-like structure surrounded by flowing blue light. The little girl whispered softly, "The core awakens." Ryan stared at it uneasily. No offense, but every time ancient alien stuff awakens, people try to kill me. The station voice echoed again. "Guardian, approach." Cyril immediately stepped in front of Ryan. "You cannot trust it." The machine responded instantly. "Statement irrelevant." Ryan blinked. "Wow. Even your ancient AI is aggressive." But something felt wrong. The little girl suddenly stepped closer to the platform. Her face had gone pale. "The future is changing." Ryan frowned. "What does that mean?" She looked up at him slowly. "In every vision before now." Her voice trembled. "You died here." Silence crushed the room. Even Cyril froze. Ryan stared at her carefully. "And now?" The girl's silver eyes filled with confusion. "I cannot see." A deep metallic sound echoed beneath them. Then another. And another. Cyril's expression changed instantly. "Hear that?" Ryan nodded slowly. "Too many footsteps." Coming from below. The buried hunter suddenly spoke through broken static. "Reinforcements arriving." Then the floor beneath the destroyed chamber exploded upward. Dozens of Dravik soldiers burst into the room from underground tunnels. Heavily armed. Far more than before. The surviving guards immediately formed defensive lines, but fear spread through the chamber. They were overwhelmed. Ryan saw it instantly. They would lose. The Dravik commander emerged last. Tall. Black armor covered in glowing red scars. Unlike the others, his movements were calm. Controlled. He looked directly at Ryan. Then slowly removed his helmet. His face looked almost human, which somehow made him more terrifying. "So," the commander said quietly, "the final guardian is human." Ryan frowned. "I'm starting to really hate that word." The Dravik commander smiled faintly. "You should." He pointed toward the little girl. "The seer belongs to us." Ryan stepped in front of her immediately. "Yeah, that's not happening." Ryan Hale hit the floor hard as blue fire exploded across the chamber. The scream ripping from his throat did not sound human anymore. Ancient symbols burned across the walls. The entire citadel of Valor trembled like something buried beneath reality itself had just awakened. Inside Ryan's mind, millions of memories crashed together. Dead galaxies. Broken civilizations. Worlds swallowed by darkness. And through every collapse, humans survived. Not because they were strongest. Because they refused to disappear. Ryan saw ancient humans standing against impossible extinction while entire alien empires fell around them. He saw cities burning beneath black skies. Families hiding underground. Soldiers holding collapsing lines long after hope was dead. Again. And again. And again. The truth hit him like a weapon. Humanity was never primitive. Humanity was old. Older than the Galactic Union. Older than the Valorians. Maybe older than every species still alive. The station voice thundered through the chamber. Guardian bloodline restored. Ryan's eyes snapped open. Blue light burned inside them. Across the room, Captain Cyril stepped backward in disbelief. That cannot be real. But even he sounded uncertain now. The little alien girl stood frozen beside Ryan, silver tears running down her face. "You remember now," she whispered. Ryan slowly stood. Pain rolled through his body like fire beneath his skin, but something else had changed too. The station no longer felt alien. It felt familiar. Like waking up inside a forgotten home. The Dravik commander suddenly raised his weapon. "You should have remained extinct." Ryan turned toward him calmly. "We tried." The commander fired instantly. A blast of black plasma screamed toward Ryan. And stopped inches from his chest. Frozen in the air. The entire chamber went silent. Ryan stared at the floating energy blast, clearly shocked himself. "That's new." The plasma suddenly reversed direction. It slammed back toward the Dravik soldiers with terrifying force, vaporizing 3 of them instantly. Panic spread through the invaders. The human was controlling the station. No. The station was responding to him. The ancient voice echoed again. Guardian synchronization complete. Blue light surged beneath the floors. Walls shifted. Platforms moved like living structures awakening after thousands of years asleep. The little girl grabbed Ryan's sleeve tightly. They're afraid now. Ryan looked around the chamber. For the first time since arriving, he realized she was right. Not just the Dravik. Everyone. Even the Valorians looked at him differently now. Not like a primitive outsider. Like something ancient. Something dangerous. The Dravik commander roared furiously. Kill him! Dozens of soldiers charged forward. Ryan reacted without thinking. Pure instinct. Human instinct. The floor beneath the Dravik army suddenly erupted upward, throwing armored bodies across the chamber. Walls folded around advancing troops, crushing weapons inside living metal. The station moved with him. Not through commands. Through emotion. Fear. Protection. Survival. One Dravik soldier broke through the chaos and sprinted toward the little girl with an energy blade raised high. Ryan saw him. And something terrifying awakened completely inside him. Protective rage. Humanity's oldest weapon. He moved faster than anyone could follow. 1 second he stood across the chamber. The next he slammed into the soldier hard enough to crack armored steel. The Dravik hit the wall with a sickening impact. Dead instantly. Silence crushed the room. Every alien stared at Ryan in shock. Not because of the speed. Because of the look on his face. Humans did not become terrifying when protecting themselves. They became terrifying protecting someone else. The little girl looked at him with wide silver eyes. Humans really are different. Ryan slowly stepped in front of her again. The Dravik commander backed away for the first time. You are monsters. Ryan's glowing eyes locked onto him coldly. No. Blue light spread across the chamber behind him like rising fire. We're survivors. The commander suddenly activated a massive device attached to his armor. A sphere of black energy formed above his hand. Reality distorted around it instantly. Cyril's face turned pale. No. Ryan looked toward him. What is that? The Valorian captain's voice shook. A collapse weapon. The black sphere grew larger. The station itself began screaming warnings. Containment failure imminent. The little girl trembled violently beside Ryan. If it detonates, everyone dies. The Dravik commander smiled darkly. Then the Guardians die forever. Ryan stared at the expanding sphere. He understood immediately. The station could not stop it. Nobody could. Unless. He exhaled slowly. Then looked down at the child clutching his sleeve. Her silver eyes filled with fear. You can't. Ryan smiled softly despite the chaos around them. Hey, he whispered. You called me safe, remember? Tears rolled down her face. Around them, the station lights dimmed. As if waiting. Watching. Ryan turned toward the black sphere. And every alien in the chamber suddenly saw something they would never forget. Not power. Not ancient technology. Human choice. The willingness to sacrifice everything for people who could not protect themselves. That was what made humanity terrifying. Ryan stepped forward. Cyril grabbed his arm desperately. You will die. Ryan looked at him quietly. Maybe. Then he looked back at the little girl one last time. But she won't. And he ran straight toward the collapsed sphere. The Dravik commander laughed. Until Ryan grabbed the black energy with both hands. Instant agony exploded through his body. The chamber shook violently. Blue light and black fire collided around him like dying stars. Ryan screamed through clenched teeth as the energy tore through his arms, his chest, his mind. But he did not let go. Human hands trembled violently against a force destroying reality itself. And still held on. Because humans endured. That was their curse. And their gift. The station voice thundered across the city. Guardian sacrifice acknowledged. The black sphere finally began collapsing inward. Slowly, painfully, Ryan dropped to one knee, blood running from his nose and mouth. Still holding it. Still refusing to stop. The little girl cried openly now. "Ryan!" He looked back at her weakly, and somehow managed a small smile. "Please tell me this looks heroic." Even Cyril let out a stunned laugh through the panic. Then the collapsed sphere imploded completely. Silence.